the database. So it's going to say it must be an add new situation. So now what we can do is fill in a new record here, hit save, and what that should do is tell us it's going to, well, it says it's going to update a record here, but we should have a new record down here. Can't see it. If I go out and go back in, it's there. So it has created, it has inserted that record. Let's have a look at the code. So same bit of code. It does the D count to see if the ID already exists. In this case it will be 0, so it won't. It will be an add new, the save type. So it will run through this Visual Basic to generate the insert into code, and then at the bottom here it's going to execute it and then release the lock. So basically that will be inserted into the database, which brings us on to this contact list. Now this contact list, of course, we're going to have to do something about it, because anyone can insert new records here through the contact list. That's why I don't really like to have a contact list. What I would prefer to have would be this as your starting form from some kind of login screen or some kind of menu, and to have a combo box, just like there's one built in here. Have a combo box that will allow you to choose a record from that list, but also some VCR buttons, backwards, forwards, last record, first record, like these down here, but we're going to get rid of these and we're going to build our own VCR style buttons. Again, in the multi-user network environment, you don't want to be using these ones down here. You want to have a bit more control on it. So we'll build our own backwards, forwards, first, last, and we'll take advantage of this combo box here to search for a record as well, in addition to our save button that we've already added. Okay. Okay, so things have moved on a little bit. What I've done now is, first of all, I've set these boxes up to default to my username and my password, so that, I'll just show you that actually. In the username box down here, text username, I've set a default up of Steve, and I've set my password up, password, so they get filled in automatically, so I can just click OK to go in. What I've done then is I've copied the contact list form, cleared it out, and created 4 buttons: contacts, reports, users and settings, to act as a kind of a menu. So after you've logged in, it opens this menu. When you then click contacts, it launches the contacts form. Now what I've done is I've slightly moved things around. I've moved the form over a few inches. I've taken the combo box that was at the top and I've pasted it, cut and pasted it to here, and then I've converted it to a list box. So you simply right click it and you can change from a combo to a list or from a list to a combo. So it's now a list box, and we have a listing of all these sort of entries into the contacts database. What we then do is we run the after update method on that list box. I'll show you it. If we have a look at the contact details after update for that combo box, the combo box is called CBO go to contact. So here's the VB script that runs, and look, there's our piece of code, our new piece of code that we used in the contact list. I've literally cut and pasted it into here. Haven't changed anything about it apart from the ID that was there is now combo go to contact. I think it was in two places, yeah, there and there. So that used to say ID. As you clicked the contact list, the ID was passed to the contact details form. Well, we're there now, so I literally take the ID from when you click the form. Have a look at what happens now then. So if I click on here, Fred Blogs, it takes that little bit of code, it runs that little bit of code and pulls up the appropriate record. So now you've got this list box that will allow you to view your contacts, and when you click on that, it generates the temporary table, pulls in the one record, and then displays that in the form. Of course, we're still not affecting the database in any way unless we hit save. Okay, so things have moved on a little now. So what I've done here is, well, I've tidied up some of these names so they look a bit neater. I've added these VCR buttons up here, so we now have, in addition to close and save, I've added first, last, previous, next, and I've added this this record number box, which will take place at the place of this one down here, and I've added an add and a duplicate. So let's have a look at the code for these. So Control G, and first of all, just the VCR buttons here. We've got first, last, next, and previous. And all we're doing here really is messing with the combo box list index. So for the first record, we set the list index to 0. For the last contact, we set it to the list index to the list count. In fact, -2, because otherwise it just goes too far, because of the way they're numbered differently. For next, we +1, and for previous, we -1, the list index, the current list index value, and that has the effect of going backwards. The +1 has the effect of going forwards. There's a little bit of error check in there, just to make sure we're not already at the end, and so on. The add button, what that does is runs a little bit of code, which ultimately does an insert. Actually, that's not finished yet, but we'll do that next time. And the duplicate button, well, that just clears the ID, whatever that is, and then saves it. And that has the effect of generating a blank record ready for you to type in what you need to. So they are the bits that we've been working on. The other thing is I've edited the form, and I've gotten rid of the duplicate check piece that was up here. I'm not going to really need that. But also what I've done is I've changed this auto title box from contact name to first name. You can make that first name and last name with a space in between if you want. The reason it's not contact name anymore is because we're not using that contacts extended query that this form was initially using when it was part of the template from Access. So now when you choose a user, it should, up here, it's not actually doing it, let's go back in and try again. Okay, there you go, Gail. That should be Jim. Yeah, so we've got that title coming out up the top here. Okay. Okay, so things have moved on. What I've done is I've maximised the contact form. I've just changed some of the form properties for the contact details form. Here, auto center's off, auto resize is off, fit to screen is on. Okay, so that's that. What I've also done is, so that launches in full screen there. What I've also done is change the add function so that it actually closes the contact details form, and then it reopens it after creating the table if possible, the temporary table, removing any contacts from it, any records from it, and I've also set the first name to be on focus. So that's the add function. So it has the effect of kind of clearing the whole form. I've also changed slightly the save function. So what we do now is I do a quick check here. First of all, I set the key to whatever the combo box is set to. I then do a check to see if this is an update or an add new, based on whether or not that key is already in the database. Notice this +1 here. If it's an add new situation, then I will go and find the highest ID in the database, add 1 to it, and then I can use that during my save routine. Oh yeah, and at the end I also use that key that I've just saved to set the combo box current position, and then I fire off this combo after update. Again, that just all it does is opens the form. Actually, it's already open. It just checks to see if the temporary table is created, removes all the contacts, inserts the one that you're currently working on, the one you've just added or updated, and sets that as the current one. So you get the form set as the current one, and you get the combo box set as the current one that you're working on. So for example, if I edit this one, that's Rafa Nadal, and hit save, you'll see that both get set to that. If I add a new one, a new record here, just do Richard Gasquet and hit save, then it sets this form to Richard Gasquet, and it sets the current record in the combo box to Richard Gasquet. Okay, so moving on, what I've done, I've made a few changes. First of all, this form, I've maximised it so that when you launch it, it takes the full screen, and you can do that with the pop-up control there. So just set that to no, and that will solve that for you. What I've also done is when you click on this combo box or list box, it did tend to flicker quite a lot whilst it created the